Right then, double bubble. What's it all about? Essentially, it's a thinking tool. It's a comparative tool where you can use to look at two different but somewhat related things and compare them. You can compare what's similar and you can compare what is different. For example, if I had dog here and if I had cat here, something that might be similar is that they are carnivores, both meat eaters, so that would go in here. And I know that this is related to both of them and they're both the same because I have links to both dog and cat here. I might put in here that they are both domesticated or pets, if you will. So that might go in here. I know that relates to both of them because it's linked here to dogs and here to cats. If I was thinking of something that's specific for dogs, something that cats don't like to do in a very simplified way here, I might say love to chase a ball. So I might pop that in here for my dogs, like that. Love to chase a ball. I've put that only here for dogs because in very rare occasions you might get a cat that likes to chase a ball, but the vast majority of dogs do love that. Okay, so I've got that for dogs. It might be like my dog, loves to chase it, never brings it back. And then if I think of something specific for cats, for example, think they rule the world. Because they do. Everyone knows that about cats. They have a very high opinion of themselves and believe that they are entitled to everything, which is a little bit away from what dogs are like. Dogs don't really think like that. So that's how I would use a double bubble to organize my thoughts. Okay, it's a little bit clearer than using a Venn diagram. It gives me more space to write than a Venn diagram, and it means I can separate my ideas out. Anything that's linked to both of them, so that they're both like, is how they are the same. So those go down the middle between your two separate sides, so between cat and dog. Anything in the middle here is where they're the same. On the outside is we have how are they different, how are they different. So anything that goes down the outside here, where it's only linked to either the dog or the cat, is about how they're independent, how they're different to each other. So it's a way of, it looks like a Venn diagram. I mean, if you put the Venn diagram circles over the top of it, you'd kind of, it would work in a very similar way. You'd get your overlap in the middle there. But the reason why it's different to a Venn diagram is that it's an easier layout. It's a better tool to do that. It gives you more space to write. It allows you to be a bit more creative with how you are setting this out. So if I was going to do one for VE Day, if I was thinking about VE Day in the past and VE Day now, I might, I'd set myself out in my journal page. I would give myself some space. I'd give myself a couple of little starting boxes with a good bit of space in between. Okay, and then I would have VE Day, and then I might have VE Day today, or this year, or modern day VE Day, something like that. Okay. In the middle section here, I would put anything that links the two together, where they are similar. So any similarities would go in the middle. So if there was something that I had here that I had found out through my research that was the same for both of them, I would put this in here, and then I'm going to use my ruler line and I'm going to join both of those up like this. Okay, and because I now have a link between both sides and my middle, it shows me that this middle box here is related to both VE Day and VE Day this year, or the first VE Day and a contemporary VE Day, however you want to label these up. Okay, if I was discussing something about VE Day that was only applicable for the original or in the early days, it would come over on this side because this only applies to this one here. Again, I'd use my ruler to draw and join these up. Okay, because there's no link to contemporary VE Day or modern VE Day, that's why it's over on this side and not linked. If I had something that was kind of only really appropriate for VE Day this year, or a modern time VE Day, that would come over on this side. It would be how it changed, how it's different to how it used to be in the past. Okay, so I hope that makes sense with these. The other thing that I would say is that in our little bubbles that we have here, in our little things that we pop over here, you don't have to just put single words or a couple of words. You can put a little description, you can put a few sentences in here. These don't just have to be simple, simplistic, single word things in each box or in each bubble. You can add descriptions and details and lots of information, and you can create yourself like really detailed maps of how you can compare the similarities and differences between these two things using this double bubble technique. Okay, so I'm looking for it to be slightly more advanced than just single word answers or couple of word answers. I'm looking for detail, I'm looking for facts, I'm looking for information, things that are really specific. Also looking for those that high level technical vocabulary that I know we're so good at using to describe everything that goes on. Okay, so it's a very quick sort of whistle-stop tour of what double bubble is and how you create that. Okay, what you can do as well is if you had, for example, let's look at just one side quickly of it. So if I had a contemporary VE Day, contemporary meaning modern day VE Day, and then if I still think about this being over here, I'd still have my link over on this side. I'd still have my old VE Day. If I wanted to link out here to something in one of my bubbles, my double bubble, what I can then do, of course, from there is I can link out further from there as well and add more detail and more description and add more in-depth information into this. Okay, and so you can kind of extend this, treat it a bit like a bubble chart or a mind map in terms of how you extend your thinking and how you use it to link ideas that are all structured together. You can, of course, add your graphic design elements to this, a bit like a bubble chart, and add your color coding for branches that are all related together. That is a nice way of making this look slightly more interesting than normal. My other final tip for all of this would be to write what it is that's going to go inside your bubble before you draw your bubble, because what will happen otherwise is you'll have your bubble that you'll draw and it'll be lovely and looking neat and nice and neat, and then you'll start writing about how this year celebrations, if I can spell it right, celebrations are different due to the ongoing global pandemic and the 75-year anniversary has had to change somewhat. Now, obviously, that's a bit of an over-exaggeration, but you can see there, because I drew my bubble first before I did my writing, it's not going to fit in there, and it's going to be a mess. And if I try and squeeze it down, it's either going to get to the point where I can't read it, or it's going to get to the point where it's so squished inside it, it's really messy and untidy. So what I would suggest doing would be get your writing done first, get your information done first, get that done, and then once you have that in place, then obviously better than that, then pop your bubble around it and then draw your linking lines to that. Okay, hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any questions or you need any extra information for all of these. Thank you.